All right, so we're back here on another Washington Football Guys podcast, episode number 4 here. What's going on, Rob?
It's Friday, another day, another week closer to our training camp, which means another week, another day closer to the football season. And I'm excited. I'm trying to keep myself level headed, but it's hard. It's hard these days.
Yeah, especially now because we're less than 2 weeks away from training camp, and it's gonna be a hell of a ride. Like it's gonna be from here to February, essentially with this team. So yeah, like you said, it's just trying to find that way where you want to have a healthy balance because at this point, especially going into the preseason, the expectations, and we've always talked about that. And now it's we getting to the point where all the hype and all the anticipation of the season and what we think will happen is kind of coming into fruition. It's kind of coming to play now because next week is really the final non-normal week that we have as far as for this team is concerned. Because pretty much full speed ahead, training camp, then preseason, and it's going to be a hell of a ride. We'll definitely buckle up. You know what? Shout out to Kenneth. Kenneth is always he's the instigator. He's the
I've had a good day. I had some amazing French toast this morning, so I'm not even gonna say anything.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wish him the greatest of days.
But we'll get our revenge on the August 3rd episode when I come in and talk about my Washington football team and a murder that NFC East preview. That's right. Definitely looking forward to joining forces with Kenneth on August the 3rd. So that's about 2 weeks from now. So God, if it's very fast approaching, and man, great show lined up for you today. We created some nicknames. We're gonna talk about the new nicknames for 2022. We'll talk about Chad Johnson's tweet. And we'll also give you guys our Mount Rushmore, our top four lists of all-time Washington football team. Just our Mount Rushmore Washington football team legends. So before we get started, we definitely have to give a huge shout out to my bookie. We are presented today. Of course, we are part of the Off the Ball Network, and we are powered by the good folks at my bookie. And definitely head over to my bookie, where my bookie matches up to 50% of your first deposit and up to $1,000. That's the largest bonus in the industry, bar none. The highest credit card accepted rates. Also a fast 48-hour payout processing. Also use our promo code Off the Ball, and let's win big. Head on down to mybookie.com. Use our promo code Off the Ball. Rob, so we, there was, during the week they kind of narrowed down the list of names for the for this team going into 2022. I know the lead in the clubhouse was the Warriors, but obviously that was kind of a one that was axed just due to the they felt as though that was part of the lineage of kind of what our previous name was. So they were like, nah, that's not, let's not go that tightrope.
Right.
Yeah. So
definitely right there, you're towing too close to the line of what you're trying to get away from. And
right. So
Golden State has it, which is great. It's a good nickname, but and the things you could do with the two W's in logos, it's too close to the line, and I'm much rather just be as far as away from that issue in that line as possible as a franchise.
Yeah, and you know what? And like you said, it's too close for comfort. And like you said, the thing with these names, it's almost like you gotta hit it out the park, because obviously there's gonna be some type of pushback negatively and positively too. So we created a list of 4. And we gave our beloved Washington football guys and girls an opportunity to vote on our poll. And I'll actually put up the results right now. Let me pull that up. Give me 1 sec while we get that going. All right, so we have the poll results here. So what I found funny about this poll, it was a tie between two. If you able to see that, Rob, or does it need to zoom in a little bit more? I'll zoom in more. You able to see that, Rob? Hey, Rob. Can you hear me, Rob? Rob, are you able to hear me with this one? So we have 4 results, and okay. All right, Rob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sorry
yes, we had a little. It's all good. We had a little technical difficulties, but it's all good. We are back. So, are you able to see the results, Rob, or I need to zoom in a little bit more?
No, I see them perfect. I got my glasses on today, so I'm good.
It's all good. So we had a list. We had the Red Tails, the DC Football Club, also the Hogs, and then the Red Wolves. So definitely huge shout out to the Washington football guys and girls who took part of this poll. So we had a two-way tie with the with one of your choices, Rob, the Red Tails, and then one of mine is the Red Wolves. Your thoughts on the two-way tie?
So I'm obviously I'm okay with it. The Red Wolves was one, or just I prefer just Wolves.
Yeah.
Was something that it kind of grew on me towards, when we thought a name was going to roll out rather soon after them retiring the old nickname. It grew on me for a little bit, but the Red Tails, I love the Red Tails. It's my absolute favorite. Just the history of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah.
Pay homage to them. I love it. DC Football Club, I'm a little offended and it didn't get more votes. I think DCFC would just be cool. It's very simple. You could do a lot with those letters. Mm-hmm. It's actually signifying, representing DC, because people who don't watch sports, they think, oh, Washington State. It's DC. It's the DMV area. Yep. And I wish they would do more with the DC area. So I love DCFC. Hogs is great. I think Hogs pays homage to the offensive line back in the day with our boy Mark May, OSU fanboy. I'm sorry, no, OSU hater. He's an OSU hater because he didn't get recruited there. Yeah. But I either name I'd be okay with, Red Tails or Red Wolves. I'd be okay with either one of those names. It's getting kind of old in our group chat that the only thing that Prez ever has to say when we start talking about our division champion winning team is that we're a team with no name. But I'd rather be a team with the division title than with no name. I think they should just change our name to the Washington NFC East Division Champs. I think that should just be the name right there.
I mean, honestly, because the way everything's going now with this division,
we're about to run it back,
right? So, and that's my thing. The thing I like the Red Tail, like you said, paying homage to the Tuskegee Airmen. I thought that was like a good touch, especially having a name with some type of significance that many people will view as a positive. Yeah. Versus the previous name that was, with that is concerned. The DC Football Club, I like that as well. That's unique. That make us kind of stand out. Like you said, it kind of gives you almost like that MLS soccer field. Kind of like, and especially in an NFL setting where you kind of want to kind of stand out of amongst the group of teams. So that definitely would be a name that's very distinctive, and it kind of has its own type of personality in itself. Mm-hmm. The Hogs name, like I said, that was one I made up because of the simple fact, like saying, paying homage to the offensive line. And just pretty much that was the cornerstone of those 3 championship football teams, Super Bowl teams that we had in the 80s and the 90s. They were definitely pretty much one of the major contributions, major reason why we won the Super Bowl. So that was a good way to kind of pay homage. And then the Red Wolves, I think it's just one of the things where it kind of has grown on me. I think I look at, like you said, I like like you said, the Wolves would be great, but I think that having that aura on the helmet, I think kind of will help kind of ease that, as far as the previous name of how, we can still kind of keep that aura on the helmet. So, and you can have that on merchandise as well. The Wolves, anything I think dealing with Wolves and kind of like it's, and then look at Wolves in it, and I think it kind of, in essence, kind of fits to our current personality at this point, as far as like being a hunters, being of the Wolves, being in a pack, kind of inciting fear, in the landscape of the NFL, landscape, as far as having that type of wolf type of mentality. So yeah, those are the ones I look at from the clubhouse. But I know they're gonna get rid of the football team moniker. Obviously, I think that's one of the things. Well, we kind of it grew on. I know for certain. I know me and you would talk about it. The name kind of grew on us to a point where it's like, I mean, I wouldn't even mind if it's like that, because it does stick out. I mean, you look at it does sound kind of generic, but I don't think nothing's wrong with it as well. And it's like you said, and it's one of those names where, I mean, you should definitely not have any type of controversy as far as that shouldn't ruffle any feathers, like you said. And of course, the haters gonna hate. I get people like, oh yeah, you like the team with no name, but I'm like, I'm the team that got the division ring, and that won the division, and was competitive throughout the whole entire team. I'd rather take last year than having a name and being 3-13.
Right.
Any day of the week, I would definitely take that moniker.
It's easy. That's an easy choice.
Right. It's a slam dunk to me, if you ask me. But yeah, man, those are the kind of names like you said, and the DCFC, that's the one I think was like when I was like really champion a lot, just for the simple fact of it just makes sense, and it's just so unique in nature.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of stand out, especially with this new era that we're going to have. And then obviously with the stadium, coming to play, and you want to just have that kind of, you want to have a new type of, that a new, not era, but more so just a newness of it to kind of create that. But but
I think I like it so much. I think I like it so much because, like you said, Washington football team, it grew on me. I wouldn't have been upset. I probably would have been happy if the team would have came out and said, hey, we're just sticking with Washington football team. There's no controversy. We're all about winning on the field. That's all we care about. We don't care what we're called. We don't care what you guys call us. We're all about winning out here. I would have loved that. So I think DCFC kind of, it keeps with the genericness, but it's still really unique.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's grown on me so much.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah. And like you said, and then I think even the success, even though people might say 7-9, but I don't, at the point, who gives a damn? We won a division. Like, no one's gonna like sit back in 10 years. Oh, well, you guys were 7-9. No, but we won a division, so it don't matter.
Won the division and won the division, and our fourth quarterback took the GOAT to down to the wire, playing arguably the best game. That he went toe to toe with him, played better than arguably any quarterback that went up against Tom Brady in that playoff run.
Yeah, and like I said, it's but it's going to be definitely interesting of this new name. And that's the thing where you look at it from a standpoint of just getting it right. That's that's going to be the really thing, is just make sure that they get it right. And it doesn't, we don't have to revisit or rehash this in 89 more years or 80 some more years. If there's if there's even a cancel culture movement 90 years from now, that this name that's going to be instituted in 2022 can stick. So,
right.
Shout out to cancel culture, man. But
hey, you know what? It's as much as people want to talk about it, it's done some good. It's gotten some bad people out of really powerful spots. But yeah, some people have taken it too far, and that's another discussion for a different show.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, we're looking forward. 2022 is we have a new name, and we're gonna, hopefully be defending Super Bowl champs going in with a brand new name.
Yeah, big time. But the cancel culture might be a Cruz Allen type of topic.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
You know what? I'm gonna have to put on the boat shoes on a Wednesday night and head on to the alley because cancel culture. I think, Rob, that would be a perfect topic for you on a random Wednesday night.
I think you're right. I think you might be onto something. I just wrote it down, so we're gonna.
Yes. Always take them copious notes. Yes, indeed. Yeah. So. We definitely got to make that happen. So another it's funny because last week we talked about the wide receivers and how now basically we came to a consensus and said, hey, this team can be the best wide receiver core in this division.
Yep.
And guess what? It ain't just the football guys who saying it. So this ain't a situation where people say, "Oh, well, Chris and Rob are in over their head." A legendary, dare I say?
Don't say it.
Well, hey, I mean,
one person said it one time, and now we've just run with it. That he is a top 5 wide receiver in the history of the league.
No, I wouldn't say all that.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
I mean, maybe I use the word legend. Maybe a little loose. I mean, he was a great wide receiver in this game. And it's definitely, I put it more so that I think it's a situation where it helps kind of buffer our argument. As far as, we talked about it last week, as far as the wide receiver core. So let me pull that up. I think we do have that queued up. And let's see, do we have that one queued up? Yes. So we got so Chad Johnson. I call him Chad Johnson because, of course, I don't like calling grown men that's not, I call him by their government name. It's kind of hard for me,
Well, isn't Ocho Cinco his government name now?
Well, he got Chad Johnson on the
I think he did change it back.
Bro, you too old to be changing your name. But that's see, I'm not going to inject that, but definitely. So Chad Johnson tweeted the other day, remember this tweet: Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel are going to go crazy with Fitzpatrick at the helm. An aggressive QB that takes chances and will improve at the line of scrimmage, Lord. Ooh, I picked it up real quick. I'm gonna say the loss, like, bro.
It took me a little bit to figure out what he was saying there too when I read it.
That boy know how to read. And these two have the skill set that makes his job easy. I guarantee their production is bananas. No hat emoji, no cap. So, Rob, see, so this is not a exaggeration on our part last week because we kind of vilified this point, not vilified, but we kind of hit this point home last week as far as we looked at their production, and now you have one of the best receivers of his generation. I put it that way. Well, let's clean that up. Yeah.
Yes. I will take that.
So, in theory, he's a wide receiver. He knows what's the intricacies of this game. So to get a ring endorsement from Chad Johnson definitely helps our point that we talked about last week. So your thoughts on Chad Johnson's tweet?
So before we got on, you asked how I was doing, and I said that I'm trying to manage my expectations, but it's very, very hard these days. And this is why right here. Yep. I came into last season very excited, very optimistic with the hiring of Ron Rivera and what appeared to be the changing of the culture in the organization. And I tried to manage my expectations. And I think I did relatively well. Still ended up winning the division, which I predicted. I just predicted that we would do it with a 10-6 record, not a 7-9 record. But hey, it's all the same. This season, trying very, very hard to go into this season with a level head, manage expectations. But when I have the receiver with the best footwork in the history of the league, I will say that Chad Johnson, he's the one person you can put anybody in the phone booth with, and he will dance him out of his shoes. That's how good his footwork is. He knows what he's talking about. We say time and time again, we've been talking about it, and people say, "Oh, we're biased, we're this, we're that, we're just fans." Of course, we want it to do good, and we want them to do well. This dude knows what he's talking about. He knows what it's like to play with good quarterbacks. He played with Carson Palmer all those years, who by no means is a scrub. He's not a game manager. He took his fair share of chances, and having somebody like Chad Johnson certainly helped. So for him to go out and tweet that these two receivers are going to go ham in this offense with that quarterback who, yes, Ryan Fitzpatrick loves taking chances.
Yep.
He's going to miss some. He's going to throw some picks, and we're going to have some growing pains. But I think it'll be worth it in the end. And I absolutely love it. It confirms what we were saying last week, what me and you have been saying amongst ourselves. That if they're not already, this can be the best wide receiver group in the league, let alone the NFC East. Another thing I want to add is that he's only talking about those two receivers. We still have Adam Humphries, who when healthy is a great receiver. We still have Cam Sims, who played great for us last year, especially in that Pittsburgh game. We still have Logan Thomas, tight end, who is coming. He's coming into his own as a tight end, former quarterback. He was one of the best tight ends in the game last year, and he's only going to get better. I think he has a chance to crack that top 5 this year, and really battle for George Kittle as the number 2. In my opinion, George Kittle is the second best tight end in the league. He really has a chance to battle with him that number 2 spot. Kind of like how Jordan Reed for us was sort of a consensus second best tight end behind Gronk for all those years. And it's just exciting that other people are seeing it. We're getting more recognition on national media. Sports Center's talking about us a lot more. NFL Live talking about us a lot more. NFL Network, Good Morning Football, they're talking about us a lot more, and it's exciting. I have not been this excited for this team, I would say, probably in my life.
Yeah. And like you said, and it's weird because, like you said, going back to the feeling, this kind of reminded me of 2013. I hate to say this out loud, but it kind of reminded me of 2013. And I mean, a part of me, like you said, I like, the direction this team is going as well. I mean, we've talked about this every week. But going back to Chad Johnson's tweet, I mean, it's what we've been talking about, and it's one of the things where it's a great feeling, like you said, a fellow wide receiver seeing the talent that we have. And like you said, it's when we talk about it, people look at us as we're irrational confidence, or cruise on the island by itself. Mm-hmm. And we're overzealous. We kind of just talking the breeze, but no, we know. And it's good, like you said, and real recognize real. So
yeah,
so and that's one thing when we looked at from that tweet, and it's right, because you look at that's what Fitzpatrick. We always say he's like a gunslinger. He got 2 guys that definitely is gonna help him show off that arm that he has, the cannon that he has. So you look at that, and then not even to mention the supporting cast, the other wide receivers on this team. So like you said, this is Fitzpatrick definitely has a bevy of weapons. And like you said, if both of they're healthy, this would be definitely a great like I said, it would be a great and a very formidable duo in the NFL, much less the division. And I'm kind of glad that he did kind of bring that to the forefront, because and he's really been champion Terry McLaurin since the jump. So that's another thing too, where he's been giving him ringing endorsements. So that's the thing too, when you look at it. Like, to me, I don't sometimes when I get like my analysis and stuff like this, I get it from really not reliable source per se, but I get it from the horse's mouth. I get it from people who played the game. Like when analysts I take them serious because they know what they're seeing. They know they have the same type of makeup genetically to play this game, and they know what it takes, and they know about these guys' abilities. So I'm definitely. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at Chad Johnson's tweet, but it just does feel good that we've been talking about this, and it's just it pretty much puts our point home. So I definitely glad that Chad Johnson did shout out our wide receiver course. Definitely huge shout out to Chad Johnson.
So I was thinking about something today when I was thinking about this tweet and how I wanted, how I truly felt about it. And something popped into my head, and I thought I was crazy for a minute, and then I kept digging a little bit more and more. And then I decided that it was accurate. Jay Gruden deserves a lot of credit for this team right now. He went on the limb and drafted 4 straight defensive linemen in the first round, a majority coming from Alabama. We have Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat in that 2019 draft. Excuse me. And he drafted, no, not Chase Young. I was about to say Chase Young, but he put us in a position. He neglected the offense just enough that we were in a position to go and grab Chase Young, who was, consensus best player in the draft.
Yep.
Jay Gruden knew that there was no point in having a good to great quarterback if you didn't have the team around him. At that point, you're just wasting his talent. So he was okay with getting the bridge quarterbacks, the Case Keenums, the Josh Johnsons when he had to.
Yep.
In order to kind of keep building the team to where once he was able to go and get a quarterback that he felt was right, and whether or not he felt that he was actually, that Dwayne Haskins was the answer at that time, I don't think he did. I think that's pretty much confirmed that Jay Gruden was not sold on Dwayne Haskins at 15. And to think that if he would have been if he would have had that persona that Ron Rivera had to tell Dan Snyder, no, we're not taking him. I don't care that he went to school with your son or went to the same school as your son. He's not ready. We're going to go this route. I still don't think he would have had his job still, but he just deserves so much credit. He knew what he was doing. As weird as it sounds, because it didn't look like he knew he was doing. As far as coaching, probably not. But he knew that he needed to put a team together that could succeed with the right quarterback instead of just going and getting a big name quarterback with no team around him and wasting his talents.
Yeah. And I agree with you with that. And the thing was, when my biggest thing, I think it even dates back to, when you really sit down and you think about it, most of these coaches that we've had haven't been bad. Maybe the exception, maybe the old ball coach, but we've really, when you sit down and you really think about it, and we look at it from a historical standpoint, at least within this century, we've did pretty good as far as coaching. When you think about, North Turner was at the beginning of the century. They should have never fired him. They fired him at the and when you were competing for a playoff at 7-7, you fire him. Then you bring in, obviously, the late Marty Schottenheimer, which I think he should have stayed. Absolutely. I still, to this day, 20 years later, and I'm to a point where I'm like, you should have kept him in. He had the old ball coach, and that failed.
A disaster.
Yeah, Gibbs came back. His administration. Jim Zorn. I'm icy on that one. I think that's when I'm icy about that. Not icy, but I'm kind of, he's hot and cold with me. Like, I'm not really. I was.
The thing with Jim Zorn is he wasn't the number one guy anyways. He was like he wasn't. Third or fourth on the list. So you can't really expect to really do much with him. And he did good for what he was, not what he was hired to do, but again, he was never head coach material. Let's just call it what it is. Not in the NFL anyway. Maybe in the XFL, I think he probably would have eventually done good out here in Seattle, but he wouldn't. He was never NFL head coach material. But I believe we still made the playoffs with him at least once.
I think
that was the Todd Collins year.
Oh no, that was Gibbs. Yeah,
that was Gibbs.
Gibbs was there. That was Gibbs last year.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't think we didn't make the playoffs then. And even with him, like you said, because he was supposed to be what our special teams coach, and then he ended up getting, because matter of fact, because that was really Fossil's job, and for some odd reason they screwed that up. Because remember, Jim Fossil was supposed to be our head coach, and then I don't know, for some bizarre reason they fumbled that situation. And then like Shanahan. Then Shanahan's next. So I looked at Shanahan. I loved Mike Shanahan. I loved him, Cal, all those guys. We talk about them ad nauseum. I definitely think that was a situation where, and that was another one where I think that became disastrous. And then, like you said, and then now Gruden, and then and Rivera. And like you said, we've had some good coaches. I mean, we've just ran down a list for the last 21 years, and you think to yourself, you would have thought this team would, these type of coaches. You think to yourself, they should have had some successful runs. It should have been, perennial powers in the conference. No, none of that. I mean, we had one and done situations, which that's another thing too, where a lot of these guys have had impressive, one and done seasons. But I love, like you said, and that's what kind of, when we talk about as far as up top is the issue. We address the elephant in the room, because like you said, we've been very, as far as like from a coaching, even sometimes help personnel, I think we've fielded some great teams on paper that just never lived up to the expectations that, the paper expectations didn't meet the field expectations. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely.
So
because Dan Snyder is notorious for going and getting washed up old, past their prime players. He did it with Bruce Smith. He did it with Deion Sanders. Jeff George. And then he goes and signs Albert Hainsworth. That atrocious contract. Like he's notorious for going and getting players that, it wouldn't be so bad if he wasn't paying prime Deion Sanders money.
Right.
He was paying a 40-year-old Deion Sanders, a 29-year-old Deion Sanders money, and same with Bruce Smith. And that's where a lot of this stuff hurt us. And I as much as I bag on Daniel Snyder, as much as I despise him, I can't be mad at his desire to win, because for baseball, I'm a San Diego Padres fan. So for the first 20 some odd years of my life, I've had that team, the owners, however many owners we've had in that time, all they care about was making money. They didn't care about winning, because one, it's San Diego. It's literally the most beautiful city in the country. People want to play or their mindset was, people will want to play for San Diego because it's in San Diego. And that just led to years and years of just god-awful teams, god-awful product on the baseball field. So I've had the both extremes of owners of my favorite sports teams. The Padres, their owners did not care about winning, and all they want to do is make money. And then over here, we have Dan Snyder, who wants to win so bad, he doesn't give a damn about money. He goes and gives Albert Hainsworth $100 million. He goes and signs Deion Sanders to that huge contract. Bruce Smith, who, I think was a relatively big contract after he was past his prime with Buffalo.
Yep.
So as much as I despise him, I do admire his desire to win, and I do appreciate what he's willing to do to get this team another Lombardi trophy.
And you know what's so funny now going back in memory lane? I don't know if you might remember. Remember Shane Matthews?
Yeah, I do.
Yo, so how we got? Because remember, Shane Matthews was a part of that 2001 Bears team that went like 13-3. They kind of was just like this kind of, and then we ended up getting Shane Matthews. That was and Daniel Wolfer. That was what's his face? That was what's the old ball coach name? Oh, Steve Spurrier.
Steve Spurrier.
Yes, that was his pet project. That was his boy. That's his UF boys.
Mm-hmm.
So he brought them in here, and yeah, man. Like he said, we've overpaid for a lot. Like, and that's one thing too, where we talking about, especially this year as far as free agency. Like we were just so. That's another thing too. When you look at it, we were just elated for the fact that hey, we spent money, but we spent it smart. Like
spending so smartly.
So smart. And I'm thinking to myself, where's this coming from? Like, we're not overpaying. We're not Antoine Randall Ellen, the free agency, giving a guy a crap load of money. Like, those days are over with, where it's like,
yeah.
What?
And this is the year that we had the money to do it.
Right.
We had money to blow.
Right.
So I really thought Ron Rivera was gonna go all out and pay top dollar for, especially for somebody like AJ Green, who I wanted so bad. I wanted them to pick up AJ Green so bad.
I know AJ Green would have been. And then he goes to Arizona. Oh boy! Thank God we got to play them this year.
You're right. But yeah, had the money to blow. They spent it so smartly. Got things that we needed. It's like when you go grocery shopping. This is the difference between me and my wife when we go.
Yeah.
I just say, for example, Costco, because I don't feel like talking bad about her today. When we go to Costco, my wife likes to get in and get out. We have a list for Costco. She wants to go in, get the stuff that we need, and leave. Now, when I go to Costco, over here to my left, I have my gaming setup, which I have my PC tower and 2 monitors. But every time I go to Costco, I look at the monitors. I have 2 perfectly fine monitors right here. One 34-inch ultra wide and another 27-inch that I use as well. Both perfectly fine, but I still look at them.
Yeah.
I will go down every single aisle at Costco and get stuff that I do not need whatsoever. Ziploc bags. I have about 37 boxes of Ziploc bags in my pantry just because. Why not? Ron Rivera was so smart. He was how I am when me and my wife go to Target. My wife is like that at Target. She will go down every aisle no matter what, regardless of if we need it or not. And I'm at Target. I'm just like, dude, let's go. You said you needed clothes for our daughter. Let's get a shirt and a pair of shorts and let's dip. I'm not trying to be in here all day. Yeah. Ron Rivera, he went into Target. He went into Costco, saw what he needed, grabbed it, and left. He didn't go shopping. Yeah. He didn't overspend. He didn't get things that we didn't need. He didn't go and pay, top dollar for a Teddy Bridgewater or, a huge trade package for Sam Darnold, which I greatly, greatly appreciate. And again, I could not be happier for the way the direction this team is headed in.
Yeah. And speaking of Costco, and it's funny. This is why we are the Washington football guys. Because I'm going to tell you, my problem is as far as electronics, I'm a samples guy. It's always about the samples, but then I don't know, because one year I had we had a little Super Bowl party or whatever. So I was buying some stuff. I had I was invited to a Super Bowl party, so I just got a few things. I messed around, had samples, and then ended up getting a ticket package for the Washington Nationals was almost $100. And I'm like, I did not come. I came here just to get 2 or 3 things. Because matter of fact, I was going to get some stuff. I was going to get some stuff for the Super Bowl, and then I was going to get some spinach or whatever. Okay, just little just something I can carry in my hand. I put it that way.
Yeah.
Then I go around my little happy jolly self, go and get the samples, and then here go dude come up here and say, yeah, all different type of ticket packages, like packages to go to concerts, all kind of, those type of things. He got me with that Washington National ticket package, but it was worth it though. I ain't gonna front.
I bet that was during the Bryce Harper years, right?
Might have been before Bryce.
Oh.
I think it's probably been like 2000 and I think he might have been like a rookie or so. But this probably was like 2012, 2013, right around that time. But yeah, I was like, yeah, bro, I tell you, it's something else.
But yeah, just like an update on the Costco story. Whenever we go, my wife yells at me for looking at monitors. So today I picked up my daughter from the babysitter and we took a trip to Costco. And I got my new monitor right behind me. I cannot wait to put it up. I'm so excited. Wife's gonna kill me when she gets home, but it's okay though. It's worth it.
You know, it's gonna be okay. You're
right.
Just hide and put a sheet over or something.
Something. I just lock my door.
yeah. And swallow the key. Just I'll put the key in your sock or something. One way it can never be found. But yeah, man. So interesting. Next topic. Let's talk about our Washington football team all-time Mount Rushmore. So we know Mount Rushmore is 4 faces. So we'll do it this way. You don't have to do a rank because I do 1 through 4. So who is your first person, and that meaning like it's the number 1 person on it? Who is one of your members of your Mount Rushmore? So we'll just kind of go back and forth.
So for number 4, I got Joe Gibbs. He's done so much for the organization. 3 Super Bowl wins. Unfortunately, I wasn't alive for any of them, but I do still catch the replays when they're on the NFL Network. One of the smartest coaches ever. I think he's a lock for our Mount Rushmore. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mine as well. I have Joe Gibbs. Like you said, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Back-to-back coach of the year in 82 and 83. Just the long list of accomplishments. He's the only quarterback. He's the only head coach to win 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. Yep. And I say this to this day, that's legendary stuff. Yeah. People laugh, but that's legendary. Try doing that now.
Right. You look at somebody like Bill Belichick, who goes on, who grabbed the moniker of greatest coach of all time. Right. Well, while he had Tom Brady, and then Tom Brady leaves, and what is he able to do now? Not to say Bill Belichick isn't a great coach. I still think he is the best coach. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that Tom Brady, one quarterback, made that much of a difference in a coach's team, that the fact that Joe Gibbs did it with 3 different quarterbacks is still to this day tremendous.
And we know one thing for sure: Bill Belichick is not winning with your boy McCorkle.
No,
if he win a Super Bowl with McCorkle, now he's going to be in that Joe Gibbs lexicon. Right. But until that happens, I'm going to hold on to that 3 quarterbacks and 3 different Super Bowls.
I think McCorkle just needs to change his name, though. That's first and foremost. Either change the middle name or get rid of it altogether.
Hey, just call him Mac. That's why he probably called himself Mac.
That is, but that's not, and that's the thing. That's his middle name.
Right.
His first name is Michael.
Right.
Just go by Mike. Michael. Don't even tell people your middle name is McCorkle.
Right.
Like, of all the people I've met in my life who always are embarrassed of their middle names, they're embarrassed because of something basic like Lynn or Lean. Like that's so many people have those middle names and they're embarrassed. This dude's middle name is McCorkle. I would have been changed that. Not even no cap. I know why he has it. It's his mother's maiden name, and it's heartfelt, it's touching, but just don't even tell people your middle name is McCorkle.
But yeah. Who's number 2 on your list, Rob?
Number 2 or number 3?
Number 2.
We did number 3 already?
No. Because we joke you. So you just had 1.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Next on my list, I got Sean Taylor. I really wanted to put him at 2, but the person I have at 2, I feel deserves it a little bit more because of what he means to the team. Sean Taylor, I've said it time and time again. I'll continue to say it to the day that I die. Would have been the best safety to ever play the game, had his life not been cut short.
Yeah.
All around straight baller. I remember his very first game in a Washington uniform was a Hall of Fame game up in Canton against, I believe it was Denver. and he made a pick in the back of the end zone. And so I remember my first time going to Canton to the Hall of Fame. We went out on the field, and I looked up exactly what side of the field it was on, and I stood in that spot. And I wish I could make up something about I felt something, and I didn't feel anything, but I knew that is where greatness had stepped. I was stepping in greatness. I was stepping in the shadow of greatness of somebody who even where his career was at, he was the greatest safety, especially in our time.
Yeah. So my number two number two on Mount Rushmore is Darryl Green, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 7-time Pro Bowler, 4-time first team All NFL. Actually, the 1996 Walter Payton Man of the Year. All decade team in the 90s, 54 interceptions. He's one of those guys where you look at it from a Iron Man perspective. He is, that guy for me was Darryl Green.
Okay. My next, I have Sonny Jurgensen, who I wanted to put. This is where I wanted to put Sean Taylor, but Sonny G just
yes.
Even though I've never watched him play, was nowhere close to watching him play. When I hear stories about people that did play in that time and coaches who coached against him, it's hard to top him, especially when it comes to Washington football lore. Yeah. It's hard to do better than Sonny Jurgensen.
And I love now, I don't think he calls games anymore, but when he used to call games, I used to like it. That's always like a room divided when it comes to Sonny Jurgensen. Like, as far as people hate him like broadcasting, I'm like, man, I actually enjoy it. I always talk about sometimes I listen to the radio broadcast instead of listening to the TV audio. And at that time, during that administration, the Sonny Jurgensen and the other hardest working man in radio, which is gone now, but with him and other guys on that squad. So my third one is going to be Jack Kent Cook. You look at just what he has done. He started off as a minority owner, back in the 60s, ended up being obviously there was levels to it where he became a majority, and he became the only owner back in 1985. You just look at, he laid the groundwork from the team of the 80s, and he's really the main reason why we are at FedEx at this point. He kind of laid the ground for FedEx, prior to his death in 1997. So he's kind of, when I look at it from that standpoint of what we are at this point in this arena, well, not arena, but the stadium, he is a part of that. So, and that's where really I look at that, where the family should have kept that team and the family. But that's for another topic, for another discussion, for another night.
Yeah. My number one, and I did rank them for 1 through 4. So I started at 4. So I had Joe Gibbs 4, Sean Taylor 3, Sonny Jurgensen 2. Number 1, I had Darryl Green. Okay. I think I feel like I'm a little biased because he's the only one. Well, I mean, he's not the only one, but I was alive for the back end of his career. And now that I'm older, to realize that he was at the back end of his career and what most athletes are like on the back end of their career, to do the things he was doing was crazy. I remember watching I forgot who he chased down, but he was on literally the opposite. He was on the right side of the field, and the pass was to the left. I don't remember who the team was, who threw it, or who caught it, but dude took off. He was by himself. Like anybody else, any other mere mortal, he wouldn't have been able. That guy it's an easy touchdown. And just out of nowhere, in the bottom of the screen, you see Darryl Green slowly creeping up, and he even looked back and he sees him, and he kind of just like, and he's ended up saving that touchdown and at that time he was creeping up to 40.
Yeah.
The fact that he was still doing that at almost 40 years old.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Even they had a 40-yard dash in one of the Pro Bowls, I think in the early 2000s, and he blew dudes out of the water.
Yeah.
So Darryl Green, hands down, is my favorite. That's why I have his jersey on right now.
Yeah.
Hands down is my probably my most memorable, my favorite Washington football player of all time.
He had to get up like your boy who you call the GOAT. Yeah, play like that, like
DK. That's right. That DK rundown, it was very similar to that.
Shout out to Buda Baker, man. My final one to round it out is Sean Taylor. I think he just represents what could have, the biggest what if in our organization. I think even in the small sample size that we did have, the 4 seasons that he did play, you just seeing the progression. He was going to get better and better each year. And even in his death, you just look at the impact of this team and just the type of, caliber of guys that we had on that team. They're able to kind of persevere in those type of situations and just let you know the magnitude of them. And then obviously, like you said, he has a street name after him heading to the arena. So it was only right to kind of put him on this list. And he's also, a ring of honor at the stadium as well. So, I mean, you just look at it. He also made the 80th anniversary team. So that's another thing when you look at it. And he'll definitely make the 90th anniversary team, which probably come out next year, since we just turned 89.
Yeah. So we celebrated that birthday last week.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions? Yeah, any honorable mentions?
So Jack Kent Cooke was one of them. Mm-hmm. He was my first honorable mention. Like I remember before we went live, we were talking about it, and I was talking about how my first 3 was solid, but that last spot I was trying to figure out who I was seeing who should get. I ended up going with Joe Gibbs. Jack Kent Cooke was one of them, and Doug Williams. Doug Williams, because he obviously first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. In a time where you didn't see black quarterbacks, we had to wait for people like Randall Cunningham, and even then he didn't get a fair shake. Art Monk didn't. He had to go through the CFL first to prove that he was, a real quarterback. So what Doug Williams was able to do, and he was one of the quarterbacks that Joe Gibbs won one of those Super Bowl with. What he was able to do, in the time era that he did it is nothing short of amazing.
Yeah. He put some on honorable mentions as well. Like you said, Doug Williams. Like you said, what he did at this point, and then even everything that he went through with this organization. I mean, you look at and him just keeping the faith. I think that's one of the things where he's another guy when you think about adversity and things going on in your life and just being patient. Because Doug Williams was at his wit's end. It's almost like, why'd you bring me here for me to pretty much back up Jay Schroeder, which Jay Schroeder definitely wasn't accommodating to Doug Williams, and like Joe Gibbs would say, Douglas, just have faith. Douglas, it's going. He had faith in him, so he always told him like, hey, just. It's going to be a matter of time. And he fought through it, persevered, and even in that Super Bowl where, he had that ankle injury and then end up, reeling off 42 straight points in that Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos. Just perseverance. Then what he's doing with his organization as well. I've actually had an opportunity to meet him. He's a real nice guy. Very, 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 very nice and very conversational, so definitely him. George Allen. I think, you look at that and now, as far as not to say my age, obviously I wasn't around during the George Allen era, but just the, the talks of, obviously, he has a lot of connections. Obviously his youngest son, was our team president once upon a time. The culture's damn good around here. Actually, when his father was there, the culture was pretty damn good.
Yeah,
especially considering the fact after the death of Vince Lombardi. So you look at this, that era came into play where pretty much he kind of relied on a lot of veterans and people looked at him like he was crazy to kind of get, because they were like pretty much over the hill gang.
Yeah.
And, so you had that. And then, George Allen, Norv Turner in a weird way, even though he's a short sample size, he's an honorable mention. I've always championed Norv Turner, even though he may not have been as successful as Gibbs, Allen. But I just look at just my personal thing with him. Like, to me, if I was in Dan Snyder's position, now how you wanted to hire Joe Gibbs back because of his, and I think if I were the owner of this team, Norv Turner would be the head coach of this football team. And, Scott will still be around. Scott will be here, obviously. Yeah. But his dad probably would have been running the show if it was me running this football team. And like you said, we all have favorites. It's just like everything. It's like, it's like everything. It's certain things that you like, you just can't explain it, but you like them. You like it. But
yeah.
But definitely good call on Sonny Jurgensen. I really wanted to put Sonny Jurgensen as well too. Sonny Jurgensen, he's a legend, bro. Like,
he's a GOAT, man.
He's a GOAT, yo. He's a GOAT. But yeah, man, he's a guy. I really, really like him as well. I definitely like. But yeah, I mean that's one thing too. When you have this Mount Rushmore list, so many people are gonna get left out. But But these are like you said, it's like you said, the criteria how we had it just fits because when we look at Mount Rushmore, we look at representation of this team and the different components that this team have. So I definitely, between the list of ours, I think that was a fantastic list, and it represented every kind of facet of this team. Some good and some bad, as far as the good time periods of this organization and the bad time periods of this organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So let's put a bow on this week's Washington Football Guys podcast. Any final thoughts?
This offense is going to be ridiculously good. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, this will not be his only season as a Washington football team quarterback. I think they're going to sign him to an extension. He might get a nice little 2-year extension on the back end because, I keep saying this is the most talented team he's ever played with.
Yeah.
I think this Scott Turner offense is going to fit him very well. He's going to get very creative with that arm. That huge Harvard brain he has, it's going to get him out of a lot of sticky situations. And Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the quarterback in 2022 and 2023. I truly believe he will.
Okay, that's what's up, man. We have a 40-year-old quarterback when it's all said and done with, potentially. But yeah. And before we head out, I definitely. Because I know we're 4 episodes in, so we do have the podcast available. I think we have it on 6, like Spotify, Castbox. I think we're still working on Apple, but I definitely want to give a huge shout out because we do have some analytics, some numbers as far as who are listening to us on. I definitely want to just shout out a few states and a few cities, and then also a country. We're actually viewed in 2 countries. In Poland and then in Germany. Predominantly it's a place called Hesse, Germany. So definitely huge shout out to everybody in Hesse, Germany who was checking out to watch the Football Guys. And even in the 3 podcasts that we have uploaded, you'll never guess the state that we've got the most listens to. No, Florida.
Florida? Who do we know in Florida?
Florida. We got in Hollywood. So it's a couple of them. We got Hollywood, Florida, Altamonte Spring, Florida, Tampa Bay. And then also we got Mississippi. And Mississippi's second. It's Pulaski, Mississippi. So huge shout out to everyone checking out the Washington Football Guys podcast wherever you're listening to. It's funny. That's one thing about Washington football. It's all over. It ain't just a DC thing. It is a East Germany thing. Poland, Mississippi, Florida. Who'd ever thought the 2 biggest states that listen to the podcast are from Mississippi and Florida?
Right. I do want to shout out one person, about Lennon. You know, he's nothing if not persistent. Lennon, I promise you, my guy, we will get you on the show one of these days. I promise you. Give us a little bit of time. We got a lot of things we're brainstorming with this. We'll definitely be in touch, so we'll get you on for sure, bro.
Yeah, Lennon. Also, I'm gonna hit you up because I'm doing some projects for my other show, Couch Coach Live. So I'm gonna hit you up and we'll get something going with that. But yeah, definitely huge shout out to Lennon, man. Trust me, we have not ignored you. We like you said, we building this thing as we fly. Like we're literally the Wright brothers, and we gonna definitely get that all squared away. We definitely gonna do some more with that, but we learning how to fly as we go. So, and definitely follow us. Also, YouTube page is up. Washington Football Guys is on YouTube. Also, check out our Washington Football Guys Facebook group, which I think we got it live. We'll get that kind of going. We'll put some clips on that. We'll do that. And then Washington Football Guys Instagram page, we'll put clips on that as well. And then obviously the Washington Football Guys Twitter page. But yeah, we're gonna definitely, like you said, we gonna trust me. It's just the beginning. We four episodes in. We let this thing fly. We definitely gonna get everything going. But we definitely working on that. And then we also got a new logo, which we'll put out on the open. I think you guys are gonna love it. It definitely fits our personnel. And bro, tell me why I was today years old and realized that the backdrop is from DC.
Because it's supposed to be subtle,
right? And I was like, yo, I looked at that because I already loved it from the jump. But then I did like a zoom of it today. I was like, yo, that's DC. That's the backdrop of DC.
Yeah, I was trying to. Bro, I kept messing with it. Yeah. I kept messing with it in bed, and I almost had it where I wanted it.
Yeah.
And then I had pressed the button. I had done something on my iPad, and it completely changed.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And like it changed, and then it backed me out of Photoshop.
Yeah.
So when I went in, I couldn't just hit the back button to redo it. So I had to play with it all over again and finally figured it out. Yeah. And I finally was able to get the opacity right. And it was, but it was a lot of fun putting it together. I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad to roll it out and hopefully people will like it.
Yeah, we definitely get that rolled out. And yeah, man, we definitely once again, great show. Once again, yeah, man, the Washington Football Guys. We definitely have some other stuff coming up the turnpike, and we definitely we here, and definitely. And I forgot to mention, so today is a 1-year anniversary of me being on Football and Chill podcast. I wanted to put that out there today, which I probably will after we do the show, but because you had me and shout out to Mo Gotti, me and we was on this,
right,
yeah. So I was like, yo, that was a year ago, and you sit there, you think about, wow, man, what a difference a year makes. And now we doing Watch the Football Guys, like we kind of put pen to pad and actually executed on it, and that's one thing too, where that's the beauty about our network and what we doing here off the ball network. I'm telling you, that's why like these are the reasons why this network was created, for people like you, me, all of us, all the creators. Obviously, our leader, Prez, Chris LeBron, definitely. Huge shout out him. Mo, VP Jeff, to put us together, put us two kind of as far as linking us with this with us linking up as far as our love of Washington football team. Everybody else at the network who doing their thing. Definitely huge shout out to everybody. Appreciate everybody's support. But yeah, man, we here, and we got it in four episodes in, and a million more to go, and a million more to go. All right, so this has been this week's Washington Football Guys podcast, man. We will catch you guys next week, and we out.